Welcome to UNCAGED. Today we're speaking with Marc Fuentes. Marc is the Vice President of Growth at Put It Forward. And Put It Forward is a dynamic and innovative company dedicated to assisting enterprise leaders in solving their most pressing challenges with a scalable, comprehensive, pay-as-you-go platform. We'll go through more about Put It Forward. I tell you, that sounds like a great platform, Marc. So I'm excited to learn more. But before we get into the Put It Forward story, love to hear a little bit more about you, Marc, and your career today.
Thanks, Matt, and thanks for the time today. A bit about me. I've been in the marketing realm for the last 23 years. I've grown up where things like Google were very new into the marketplace. Websites were new. Fast forward to where we are today, and we're in a place where marketers are starving for information, for data, and not just any data. Data that gives them insights to actually perform their next best action. Speak to any marketer today, and they will tell you that we've bought technology tools across the tech stack, but we're still not getting to the crux of what it is. How do I have a different conversation with that customer that highlights how it is we can help them and how it is they can take that help into their enterprise and be able to deliver on their goals? Above and beyond that, marketing as a function, I think, is going to continue to rapidly change, but I think we'll dive into that in a bit.
That's amazing. So, Marc, I'm excited to learn more about how that kind of landscape that you just outlined, that data-driven landscape, is setting the tone and setting the scene for Put It Forward. So, tell me more about the Put It Forward story and what you and the team have going on.
Yeah, the name Put It Forward is very close to Pay It Forward, right? There's numerous times I get on conversations with customers. Be like, is it Put It Forward or Pay It Forward? I said, you know what? It's actually both because we're using data to pay it forward. But the Put It Forward platform is really how organizations scale good ideas, if I can put it into simple forms. When you look across the enterprise, whether you're in the IT function, the marketing function, the sales function, or the finance function, typically you're coming up with some sort of either to get into a new growth engine, to uncover ways that manual processes or repetitive processes are costing the organization both time and money. But most of the times, these individuals are plagued with disparate tools, disparate systems, siloed data. So as they push their ideas forward, they realize that they're actually having to move it forward manually. And they're taking steps and gut sort of decisions because they don't have access to the data to scale that idea. Put It Forward is that platform that is agnostic. It connects to all of your systems and allows you to move data seamlessly into one platform. And most but not least, we interrogate that data. So I use the word interrogate because we look at that data from multiple different angles and be able to surface insights based on what you want the outcomes to be. So things like churn prediction. It's becoming, in this fiscal 2023, I haven't heard of business that's not focused on their customers because acquiring net new is so difficult in this climate that focusing on your customers has become even more important. And because of that, our platform is one of those platforms that's giving out churn indicators to help the sales teams or the customer success teams go out there and service that customer better and get ahead of things like churn so they can hold on to that customer. That's just one use case that the Put It platform comes back. But in simplest form, bad, it's about how does an enterprise scale good ideas? And that's the platform that can help you do it.
So, I mean, Marc, just to give us a little bit more texture and color around the idea of how a customer is using Put It Forward. When you say company uses it to scale an idea, give me an example of how a company does that now.
Well, typically, most organizations struggle with that word scale, but it's on the tongue of
Yeah,
every executive. How do you scale? How do we take that from X to Y? How do you go from 50 customers who's on a subscription path to getting to 100 customers? And typically, it is not the same way. And that's something that executives are understanding, that how you got to your first 50 customers and scaling that particular engine is not how you're going to get to your next 50 or next 300. The scaling motions change. They don't change drastically, but they do change. And the ability to have an adaptive platform that can taking these new insights and feed you different ways to do it, it's exactly where the platform comes in. So I'll use a couple of examples. One of our
right.
customers, one of our customers is OpenTable. And what OpenTable does, if you've ever used OpenTable, I'm sure many folks around the world have used it, but haven't really dug into
Absolutely.
what it is, right? In the simplest form, it's the ability to really make a reservation across basically an app across the world in terms of organizations who are using that particular functionality. Put it forward as the backbone behind that platform that mines all the data coming into the platform. And what we basically do with that data is we're able to surface different types of insights back to that particular restaurant about how customers, where they're coming from, how they're coming there, what's getting them to that particular booking, a reservation, and using that in their outreach activities to reach more clients that look like that particular user. So now you can
Got
really
it.
focus your marketing investment and your outreach investments. And the only way you can win on those is by understanding the insights. And the platform is continuously looking for different data points that come in to connect it to deliver an insight back. So whether you're in the banking industry, because we've worked with banks across US and Canada, whether you're in healthcare or you're in telecom or you're in utility, those are the type of service industries that the Put It Forward platform stands, as a differentiator in terms of not having to rip and replace what you've put in those organizations, but extend
Mhm.
and embrace. We look as a platform that extend and embrace your investments.
Just to kind of go back to some of those examples that you were highlighting, it looks for patterns basically. So, is there a level of AI here that essentially analyzes the data, looks for patterns or clusters in that data and surfaces that? Is that kind of how it's working?
Yes, so it is the back end of it is looking at patterns, looking at trends, and it's also using models that's pre-built by your data scientist team in the
Okay.
platform. So it is coming with some pre-built models around customer lifetime value, next purchase, churn prediction, customer sentiment. These type of things are already programmed into the platform. But organizations will have different things they want to uncover and
And then they'll add in other data sets like the restaurant construct. You obviously have the booking, but at the same time, you also have the transactional, the ticket size, I guess, the how much each customer spent at the restaurant. So does it marry that data together?
it does. So
Okay.
basically, all those pieces of data is able to marry up that data. And if you had a chance most recently, you're starting to see within the financial world that they're determining how you're spending your money, whether it's through your typical Visa cards or your typical debit cards. By understanding that type of transactional level, you're not going to understand and share back to businesses how are customers paying, where can you run promotions, how is that customer in this disposable income bracket, how much of that money is being spent towards dining out, how much that money is spent towards travel. So you're getting down into deeper level of mining that data and figuring out to the companies who can use it how to better target someone like band for travel, how to better target
Right.
some things like restaurants you want to see. So back to your question about AI, it is using patterns in AI, but it's coming pre-configured with data scientist models that we put into the platform.
I get it. And I certainly can see how that's useful. Based on my own dining patterns, I'm expecting some restaurants to offer me some free meals soon. So, well, that's just related to the fact that I eat out far too often. Well, when you look out, I mean, Put It Forward's a relatively, you've been there, I think, since the middle of this year, basically around May. Tell me a little bit about your experience on coming on board in 2023. What's it like, and what are customers really highlighting for you guys? What do they really want to see?
So two things. So coming on board, we've got a dynamic marketing team that's really focused. What I really enjoy is that the team is really focused on listening to the customer. We spend a lot of time analyzing, speaking with customers. How are they using the platform? What else are they trying to uncover? What's their next outcome they're going after? So that's been, as a marketer, it's always welcome because we're one step ahead in understanding what we need to do and how we need to communicate that. The second piece, in terms of joining, we found that customers are asking more and more about how to use generative AI. It's a topic that's on top of everyone's sort of mind. And first and foremost, to improve productivity. How can I use that to write a better email? How can I use that to personalize my outreach? How can I use that so that my finance teams are not being bogged down with manual, repetitive tasks? So how can I use those things? We're getting a lot of questions around that, and we're focusing our use cases around how the platform can leverage generative AI. The second piece is we have re-vectored the positioning of the organization. So one of the first and foremost is that we're around intelligent automation and using data to help the enterprise become more intelligent. If you're intelligent and equipped with good data, your decision making is going to be even much more kind of on point, if you will.
Yeah.
We've re-vectored the use cases we're going after and the target audiences to be much more refined. And with that, we're starting to see a different level of engagement in the marketplace. Mind you, we're in the midst of call it a mild technical, who knows, recession. Those words are used. And I think the companies that are engaging with us are seeing that their investments today in tools like intelligent automation, how that's going to help them in 9 months from now. Because as you know, every cycle is up, every cycle is down, but you cannot lose the fact that the cycle is coming back again. And if you're not investing in tools like this, you're going to be left behind. The comparator is just going to be that much higher. And to cross that chasm when the market returns is going to be that much difficult. So we're talking to customers today that understands that motion. And it's something that is extremely exciting to a marketer like myself, because they're not just standing still, not spending, holding on to their budgets, hoping that things return in 6 to 9 months, and then we spend, because that time might be too late to capture the growth that's already started in the marketplace.
You mentioned Open Table. I mean, that is a company that just has treasure troves of data. I mean, just huge volume of data, right? There are obviously other companies that also have data, but perhaps not on the same level, and certainly not as kind of rapidly generating as an Open Table. So, I mean, is this a product that works really for both types of businesses, or is it really for kind of those digital kind of transactional businesses?
It's both. I mean, we also work with companies like Fidelity Investments. We also work with companies like Broadridge Financials on the financials.
Right.
We also do work with Facebook. So it is a model that is equipped to handle large data sets.
Okay.
It's also able to flex and be able to handle data sets where they're not as massive. That allows maybe a unit in a business with a complete business unit to use and leverage the platform. So Fidelity Investments, they're using it as a way to consume large amounts of data and the economic, being able to see patterns in that data and being able to come back to different data scientists across their business to determine what are some of the bets that they're going to make based on these insights.
You know, I love it, Mark. It's great. So it has the ability to kind of flex for those heavy data clients and some kind of middling clients, but really more niche types of data. But that's great. So, I mean, I look at your background, Mark, and you've done a ton of stuff in the marketing space, and you've worked with AI, you're now working in a company that's really squarely at that kind of crossroads where data meets everything in business. Tell me a little bit more about what drives you. I mean, you're clearly working in an innovative area. What drives your passion for the type of work that you do?
First and foremost, I think it's the people I work with. I think when you get in there and you see people just as energized to solve those problems, you're able to roll up your sleeves and dive into it. I think secondly, marketing is not a silver bullet anymore. So you're coming into a function every day that requires you to really step back every day and look at what truly is working and be able to, say these things we've been doing for the last X number of months is not working anymore. Time to shift gears. And it's in that shifting of gears and that shifting of thinking and that sort of expansive mindset is where that passion comes from, because you're always trying to figure out what's next and you don't know as a marketer what's next. Any marketer
Yeah.
will say to you, I know what's next is X. I credit them, and they certainly have their crystal ball. But if you would ask me what's next, there's a few bets I would make on what's next. And I think that's the passion. Is the unknown in the marketing sphere, is the fact that you have to be constantly creative in how to get the attention of customers. Because if you think the customer you're going after is receiving 100 emails from the market, the industry, how do you become creative enough to stand out? And not just email, how do you become creative in every channel? And that's something you have to, that doesn't come by light-handedly or with no passion. You've got to get up every day trying to figure out how do I break that noise? How do I become better?
It's tricky. It's tricky, right? I mean, from my perspective, Mark, sometimes I'm glad you have that passion, because some days I just wish that the old system would work like in the same way, and then you're just like, oh my God, we got to reinvent it here and there. But, I think what is very, very clear is that need to understand what is happening from a data perspective. And it was interesting, I think, early on in my own business, we could kind of tweeze through the data and find certain triggers that literally meant that a customer would stay with us or a customer would sign up quickly, et cetera. Obviously, we have many, many other kind of triggers that we understand now, and it's very, very helpful. The challenge is obviously is just that the speed of the change of technology is happening faster and faster right now. So it's really interesting to see, I remember implementing email marketing a couple of years ago, and now everyone's kind of going like, email marketing, what are you doing? Like, so it's funny how quickly things change.
It is, but the one thing I would say over the last, 3 years or so, as things change quickly, you're finding that we're all going back to things where we've used in the past, but adjusting them with better insight.
Adjusting,
that's where the data is coming in. I think probably the second piece of it is that when you mentioned a couple of minutes ago, sometimes I like to go back to the old where we didn't have all these channels and we didn't have all these and we have kind of one way to influence you, and it's getting in front
Well,
of
I guess I mean that just from a planning perspective, as when you go into the annual planning process and you're just like, man, it would just be great to have a clear sense of a model that would work for sure, always, right? Now, here we are at the end of 2023, moving into 2024. Tell me more about what you see on the horizon here for this year.
2024, I sense that for the first half of it, you're going to still see organizations holding on to their budgets, or continuing to be able have their purse strings kind of still a little bit tight on those. You're also going to see a large focus back on measurement in terms of, if you invest in this piece of technology, what is the incoming inputs and what's the outgoing outputs? Really and truly, how are you going to measure the ROI of this? Because over the last decade, where IT has become less of the centralized purchasing group, and we've decentralized the purchase of technology, you find functional departments have gone on just purchase a whack of technology. So you're going to see a rationalization around that particular piece. And that's happening because we all want our data connected, we want to integrate, and we want in. Some businesses have gone ahead and done some level of automation, but they're now getting on a point where they realize to hit that next cusp of growth or cost optimization or improve their margins, they need to go one step deeper into their function and truly remove some of the repetitive manual tasks.
So
Go ahead.
Mark, we're kind of coming to the end of our show, and I just wanted to kind of like recap here. And we've been talking to Marc Fuentes. We've been talking about his business. He's the vice president of growth at Put It Forward. And we've been talking about this, I'd say, set of services and a platform that is really helping businesses scale, but really kind of to interrogate their data and find the insights from that data that allows them to grow in the right way. So to find those opportunities in the marketplace. And it's a really great example of a data-driven company or a system that is driving data. Mark, if someone wanted to find more out about your company, where's the best place to reach you?
Putitforward.com.
Putitforward.com. Excellent.
Also, you can feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn too as well. It's a great channel for us to even start a conversation too.
Excellent. Well, Mark, thank you so much for being on the UNCAGED show today. We've been speaking to Marc Fuentes. He is the vice president of growth at Put It Forward. And I'd say that this is one of these conversations where you really sense how the business and marketing and sales landscape is going to evolve over the next couple of years. We're talking about tools where everyone was trying to collect data. Now we're actually having tools that analyze, interrogate, find, sift, break down that information and really kind of find those key insights that will move the needle forward and continuously do that as those insights shift and change with the changing customer and the changing business landscape. Mark, thank you so much for being on UNCAGED, and we look forward to having you back.
Ben, a pleasure. Thank you.